That bird's gonna yell at us.
That's alright. Alright, cool. Rock and roll.
Hey everybody, welcome to Coffee Time with Will. It's a show where I talk a lot, and I talk about coffee because I love to talk, so I hope you love to listen. First thing we're gonna go over, the Chemex. So, first thing you're gonna need is Chemex. This is an 8-cup Chemex. This is the one that most people will have in their homes. This is one that I have in my home, and this is how I make coffee every day. So, if you have one, go get it, and let's make coffee together. First thing you're gonna need to do is make sure that you have, of course, the Chemex, a filter, some really hot water, preferably 205 to 210 degrees. You're gonna need some coffee, preferably Vagabond or your local coffee roaster, or your coffee if you roast coffee at home because, well, we're all home right now, aren't we? And of course, one of the most important things in coffee, in all the videos that we do, I'm gonna tell you this. Make sure you have a scale. It doesn't have to be a fancy scale. It doesn't even need to be an expensive scale. But consistency is key with coffee, guys. In our shops and at home and everywhere you can, consistency will help you make the same cup of amazing coffee every time. So, scales are important. So, after you have everything and you're ready, make sure your children are away from you, make sure your animals are away from you, and let's try to make this 5 minutes for you. Take this paper filter. It's a special filter, but if you run out of filters, get a paper towel, cut it into a big square, and then fold it. And then you can have something close to this. First thing we're gonna do is take this water and we're gonna wet this filter. We're gonna wet it really well. When we wet this, it does a couple things. First, it's gonna kind of rinse out the filter if there's any sediment or paper or kid germs in my case. Kind of rinses them out. But the second thing it does is it's also gonna heat your vessel. So it's gonna get the Chemex itself hot so that when your coffee comes in, it doesn't suck all the energy and the heat out of it. So this is an important step. So make sure to not skip this, even though you might not think it's important. And then if you're like me and you're surrounded by plants, you can reuse this water. Just dump it a little bit right here on your cactus. You know, just the fun things. Next, now we're gonna move this Chemex out the way and we're gonna grab our coffee. And for us today, we have our beautiful Ethiopian Guji, which you can find online. So make sure to go get some for yourself. So we have 42 grams of coffee right here. And so what we wanna do is make sure that when we're prepping our coffee, we do the same amount every time, right? We use a specific ratio. You can find ratios online. You can shoot us a message here in the comments. But with our ratio, we are going to be using 42 grams of coffee to 700 grams of water. And that's just my preference. There's going to be some variation on this wherever you go, you know. Good coffee is like good pizza. Pizza's always the same, but everybody's going to make it a little bit different. This is the way I like to make my pizza coffee. So I hope you do too. So now that we got our coffee and we have 42 grams of it, we're gonna take it, we're gonna grind it. I have this cute little grinder that I thought was super cool, so I needed to order it from Japan, but any grinder will work. But if you don't have a grinder, make sure that you get your coffee ground somewhere. That's very important too. The grind's gonna have a lot to do with your coffee. With all the stuff we talk about today, the grinder is another really cool thing to make sure you invest in. The grind of your coffee is gonna affect everything you're doing. So, super important. But, we can grind this coffee. And we're done. See, that wasn't that hard. So, now that we have our coffee and we have our Chemex, I'm gonna go ahead and zero my scale, or tare. Tare just means 0. I don't know what the deal with it is, but they were saying tare before somebody said 0. So if you have a scale and you don't know what the word tare means, I just think it means 0 out. So if there's a tare button, hit that. So now that we're at 0, I'm gonna add my coffee. And if you didn't weigh your coffee before, this is another chance where you get to catch it. So you can weigh your coffee to make sure that you're putting the correct amount in. And so as you're doing this, you wanna make sure that you're distributing it evenly across the top. And even if you maybe wanna like, give it a little shake to level it out at the end, right? And then again, we're gonna tare or 0 out our scale. And now we're ready to brew. All of this for the good spot. With the brew, we want to start by putting 45, that's wrong, not that. Don't listen to that, it's not 45. 45 is how long it's gonna take. It's gonna take 45 seconds for the first part of this coffee, not 45 grams of anything. Okay, so for the start, hang on, we're just gonna. Now that we have our coffee, and we've zeroed out our scale, or tared our scale, we're gonna add about 90 grams of water for the bloom. And this is gonna take about 45 seconds. So we're gonna add it, and what we wanna do is make sure we get all of the coffee wet as much as possible, and then stop. Right when you get to 90. I got to 89, so this is the Price is Right, I still win. So I'm gonna give this about 45 seconds. Hey Siri, will you start a timer for me for 45 seconds?
Okay, your timer is set for 45 seconds.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Timer. Stop your timer. Pick up your water. So now, I like to do this in about 3 pours. So what I'm gonna do is go in a circular motion. I'm gonna start in the middle, work my way out, controlling the water. And I wanna get to about 350 on my pour. That might be a little bit much for some people, but hey, guess what guys? This coffee's for me. All right, now I'm gonna stop. And now, we're gonna let gravity do its work. We're just gonna let this coffee drain. It's slowly filtering through, and in my opinion, making the best cup of coffee you could have at your home. What you're gonna wanna do is make sure you're watching the water. Make sure that it's all draining evenly, and as it starts to lower, you're gonna wanna wait till right before the bed of coffee dries, before all the water is gone, and then you're gonna wanna put the rest of that water in there. So don't walk away. Again, just take a minute, catch your breath, make a joke, kiss somebody who's standing next to you. I'm getting to the point where I need to add some water, so I'm gonna go ahead and pick up this kettle. I'm gonna add some. And also, if you're wondering, why do you have such a fancy kettle, Will? Well, let me tell you why. So this is a gooseneck kettle. Right here makes it a goose. I don't know. I guess gooses have long necks, so somebody was like, you know what? I want to call my kettle a goose. So if you want to have a goose in your house, go get a gooseneck kettle. What it's going to do is help you pour evenly and make sure that the stream of your water stays the same, right? So this is my 3rd pour, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and load this up. I'm just going to let it drain at this point. You know, sometimes when you're at home, you can take more time and watch it a little bit closer if you want, and sometimes you just need to do a couple pours and walk away and take care of your stuff and come back to a great cup of coffee. He said, I got sunburned, Dad. You put me out here from a greenhouse. It's too hot out here for me. Oh, no. Also, if you want to cheat and you're kind of close to the end because you're running late and your kids are yelling and screaming and murdering each other in the other room, just pick this up a little bit. I know this is like a very bad thing to say, and you would never get coffee like this at Vagabond Coffee from behind the bar. But when Daddy Vagabond's home, this is how he has to make coffee sometimes, because he's in a hurry. So now that your Chemex is done, what you'll want to do is take the filter, Kobe, throw it away into the closest trash can. Hopefully you make it, because if not, it makes a mess. But then, maybe give a little bit of a swirl. Fill up your glass. And as you drink this, I hope that you have a great day, and thank you for joining us. Journey well, and I hope that whatever you do today or tomorrow or the next day is whatever you want to do. Live your dream.